Hi there, welcome back. I'm John from Hume Architecture. Gonna take you through some more renders with the Cunningham project. So last time we left it, we were looking at some exterior shots, kind of wrapped it up pretty quickly. So today we're gonna look at the interior. We're taking a look first at the kitchen here. This is in our Rhino modeling software, so this is where we do all of our 3D modeling. If we take a look here, we have a bunch of random colors, some golds, maroons, whites, blues. None of this stuff matches what the final element is, but all of our materials are chosen beforehand. And this is kind of where we can go through with a client and pick out all of these materials. I can go through and tell them, what do you want to do for the floor, walls, ceiling, accent beams, everything like that. So if we take a look here, we can zoom around, take a look at the kitchen. And then if I rotate all the way, you get to see the dining room, the front door, all the way into the living room with the fireplace and the TV. Now in this model, you'll see that we have a tray ceiling, and this tray ceiling has some extra detailing lights. In a lot of our other ones, we had some cathedral, we did some tray ceilings, flat ceilings. All of this stuff changes kind of on the fly, especially with 3D modeling. It's a lot easier to do it now rather than when it's built, because it's a lot harder to change something when it's built. So now, in this model, we can take a look and we can change a lot of these elements, update materials, all of that stuff. Looking into our Lumion file, this is where those materials come to life. I can actually put the correct colors, the correct layout, add in some of those small details like mugs, cups, plates, and you can actually see some of the lights here. Some of this stuff actually on, so you can see a little bit of a glow, add just a little bit more life to this. You see those lights there are glowing. Also a lot easier to fly around in this one because it's more like a video game control, so WASD, if you're familiar with that, you can fly around in this. But you can see in this model, it's a little tricky because I think this is going in between two different ones. So you can actually see the light that I was talking about. But this was a pre-model with the cathedral ceiling. This was kind of a little bit of a change that was made, and we're going to try this on the fly to see if it works. So this is what we were talking about last week with the live sync. So this button down here, I can hit play, and now this is actually syncing with that Lumion model, and this allows me to make these changes in here. So like we saw a cathedral ceiling. Now we see a flat ceiling in this model. Now if all goes well, we should see this Lumion model update at some point. We'll see. I'm gonna leave plenty of space here, Sean. And there we go. Just like that. A little bit of editing magic. So now we have our tray ceiling. Those lights are in there as they were exposed before with the cathedral ceiling. But now the cathedral's gone. We have that flat ceiling back with the tray. And you can see closer to what's going to be the final look. This might also still change as we go forward with this project, but mostly all the same. So now that we've changed all that, you can also see that these beams are gone, those accent beams. Those were taken out a little bit later, just some budgeting stuff, just to see if it looked all right without them. Another update that's been changed since this model was produced is this pantry here. There's no longer going to be a hidden pantry door. This is going to be an open space as far as I'm aware, or maybe just a regular door. It's a little bit of a change, nothing too major. Our island also shrunk down a little bit as we got into construction documents, but all of that stuff is very minor when it comes to these renders. These are to get an idea across. This is not the final model. The final model is what's built. It's what's put on site. It's what the client ends up seeing. This is just to get all the materials out there, see how the colors interact with light. As I'm going through here, you can see this is the mudroom. So this is actually our entry from our garage, and you could cut to a little shot of Michael here coming up from the garage. This is that space and what it's hopefully going to look like. As we come into the mudroom, we have some tile, we have some green shelves here, and then we're going straight into the laundry room. Now, all of this stuff is a walkthrough that we've done on site with some of the framing. So you can actually see some of the finished work here in the render, and now I'm just phasing through a door. So this is also roughly what the bathroom looks like. A couple changes have been made here as well. But this was all very early on. This was probably about a year and a half ago that all of this was worked through, just to make sure that all this is done beforehand. Like I said, we don't want this to be a last second decision that a client is making. You want this to be well thought of, materials picked out. If you have anything like lead times, 6 weeks, a month, anything like that, all that gets sorted out. So now I'm going to take you through some of those final shots. So this is going back to the kitchen. We're going to kind of run through, I think it organized it a little strangely, so we might end up changing some of the orientation here. But this is the kitchen. This is the final render that we get that's produced. And those timbers are back, like I said. There's some changes that have been made here and there. This is finally produced through Photoshop, finely tuned. You get to see a lot of those colors pop that we have. There's not a lot of colors in this project, but you get to see that wood accents pop out. You see some of the copper and gold and white glass of the appliances. Looking back, that's their property there. You get some nice views. Also, another major change with this project is that this house is significantly higher than it is in these renders, but you really can't tell, so it's not too big of a deal. Taking a look, we also have some vertical format, which is just flipping that aspect ratio. So instead of a 16:9, now it's a 9:16. Just gives you something that we like to post on our Instagram or Facebook, or put on reels, anything like that, so we can get different form factors. It's also a little bit quicker to render these because it's not doing the entire picture, it's only doing a sliver of that. Again, here we're looking at the mudroom. Get to see some of those colors, how bright that green is. Back into the kitchen space with the waterfall island. This was a huge selling point for the client. They really want to do this waterfall island, and hopefully we get to keep that. It's a little budget conscious. It's tough to be budget conscious with stuff like this because it's so expensive, but it's a really awesome statement piece. Taking a look at the coffee area, a little coffee nook in the corner. Again, looking back at the dishwasher and sink. Now we get some cool highlights looking at the living room. This is the fireplace. Again, this was before we changed out that tray ceiling, so this has the cathedral here. And I could probably also overlay some other ones. We have some other shots to kind of show you the difference between the two, between the tray ceiling and the cathedral here. And maybe we'll do that for a couple of these shots. This is another head-on, and again, this changes the aspect ratio. So this is more of a square 1x1, perfectly symmetrical shot here instead of a rectangle, either lengthwise or height. Looking at that dining room table, a couple different shots here. This is the entry table coming in from the front door. And then you get a nice wide shot. This is our standard shot here, a 16:9 of our island looking directly into the living room here. And again, we could do a little bit of an overlay showing our tray ceiling and see just how much of a difference that can make. This is a lot more open, but the client wanted to kind of bring that height down and make it a little bit more personal in that living room space. Again, taking a look here from the living room, now looking back at the kitchen. We get to see that beautiful door out the back. We get to see the property, the windows looking out towards the back. Looking straight ahead from the mudroom. This is kind of that entry from the garage we were looking at before. This is a final render though, so we get to see that light reflecting up off the tile. We get to see how it interacts with the wall. This one is showing the indent of our shelves here in the bathroom. You get to see that tile that was in the mudroom, as well as the kitchen as a backsplash there. So we're trying to bring some of those themes all the way through the house, as well as those wood accents. Again, this is another shot of just looking back at the bathroom here. All right, that's gonna do it for this project. We really had a good time walking through this with you. Overall, using these programs all together make things pretty seamless from a client perspective, as well as a builder and architect. This helps us design things ahead of time, get things done on time, sometimes, and then we can see this realized in the real world here. So as this house gets built, we're hoping to go back, we can take some photos, see actually how these things turned out versus our renders and our rendering model, and see some of those photos side by side. So thanks for watching. Hopefully we can see you guys again in some other videos. We have some more coming up with this project as we get further along with the framing. We're putting the roof on now, so it's getting very exciting. Windows are going in, lots of cool stuff coming. Bye. By the way, we actually ended up moving offices, so we're not going to be over at our previous residence. We're going to be here. This is my new office space. We have Nick and Lovepreet's new office space. Sean's got an office space. We even have a new break room area that's secluded and not included with our space. It's separated. I like that. We also have a beautiful new front door that's been painted. We have our logo on it. So everything's going to be here from now on. I don't know how much of this is going to be usable, but Sean, by the way, we moved offices. This is beautiful here. We love it in Corfu. However you want to say it. Corfu? We're not in Batavia anymore. That's it. We moved. And now I have this. Sometimes I work here. Sometimes I'm at home. You never know what you're going to get. Milo's over there. He's always with me. We'll cut a video here. We'll show. Bye!